United States District Court for the Northern District of Ohio Eastern Division, and on May 12th of 2021, Larry D. Reid filed a federal lawsuit against Daryl Moore, case number 121-cv-00991-JG. In this case, it included a litany of charges. One of the charges, or one of the many charges levied against Daryl Moore, was false claims of molestation. On page 8, Section 32
of the claim,
of the said claim, it reads,
Moore repeatedly asserts, both directly and through thinly veiled and unmistakable innuendo, that Reid molested a teenaged boy when he was a minister in North Carolina. This allegation appears, inter alia, in videos posted or live-streamed on these dates, which contain the variations or additional allegations noted below. Part A. On April 20, 2021, Moore stated that Reid had a victim, that the victim had hired a lawyer, that Reid had victimized him since the victim was 14, and that Reid was so certain to be convicted for that victimization that he might as well be fitted for a jumpsuit. Moore also displayed, on screen, a series of text messages by which he purported to establish that Reid had molested a boy and endeavored to suppress the memories of his victim.
Because you went out there and you call yourself gonna rattle a young man. You just think of the audacity of you. You had the audacity to come out here today and try to get a cease and desist issued to the victim of somebody, to somebody that you victimized from the time he was 14 until the age of 17. And see, I knew you was gonna run scared, because when you found out that I know about that cell phone and the messages that you sent to that phone, you thought the young man still had that phone and another member of your church had it. And they're gonna issue an affidavit as to what they read. And then you're gonna get yours. And when I come to court with everything I got on them hard drives and everything else and the printouts that's over there, you might as well tell them what size your jumpsuit is.
Part B. On April 19, 2021, Moore asserted that he had copies of text messages between Reid and one of his victims, and the affidavit testimony of a third party who was privy to those texts.
I have text messages between you and one of your victims, the one that's gonna come on camera and be interviewed by me. I have the text messages between you and him. And I have a lady that's gonna sign a sworn affidavit. He had a phone that he gave to her, and you weren't aware that she already was in possession of the phone, and you were still texting that old phone. And she saw the text that you sent to the victim, and she's gonna do a sworn affidavit about what she saw. You got a lot of explaining to do. Yes, you do.
Part C. On April 15, 2021, Moore, in a streaming video, warned Reid that there was no statute of limitations in North Carolina for the crimes Reid had allegedly committed.
Stop lying, Larry. You can stop lying and stop hiding, because I ain't letting up, and none of the other people that are doing stories about you are gonna let up. We're just gonna keep coming at you until you tell the truth. You know what you did, you know when you did it, who you did it with, and all the stuff you did. So you might as well come on out with it. There's no statute of limitations in North Carolina for what you did, so you're gonna be held accountable. You are going to be held accountable for what you did, sir. So you can stop lying, stop deflecting, stop hiding, and talking about other stuff. Address the accusation. Address that police report. We ain't even talked about the $70,900 that you
Part D. On April 11, 2021, Moore asserted that Reid had molested a 14-year-old boy in Raleigh, North Carolina.
For those of you who say I'm making stuff up and I'm lying and I'm not telling the truth, one of the victims of Larry Reid is on my phone right now. Have I offered you any money for your story?
No.
Has anyone offered you any money for your story?
No.
Have you been threatened or coerced in any way by me or anyone attached to me?
No.
So this story is of your own free will, correct?
Absolutely.
So Larry Reid, in fact, molested you when you were a child at his home.
Yes.
In Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yes.
So the address on that report is the address that you filed with the Raleigh Police Department. That's Larry Reid's address.
Correct.
And he was the one that did it.
Yes.
And how old were you when this started?
14.
And when did it stop?
17.
Okay. And has he ever threatened your family in any way?
On April 6, 2021, Moore asserted that Reid masturbated while a teenage boy was induced to watch him.
I haven't done that. You have, Larry. I haven't been accused of touching any teenage boys. I haven't been accused of having any teenage boy strip naked and stand before me and turn in a circle while I jerk off. I have never been accused of those things. I have never fondled a little boy. I've never fondled a little girl. I've never fondled anybody that didn't say yes first. And I'm talking about women, not men, because I like women. But anyway.
Part F. On April 1, 2021, Moore asserted that he had seen text messages between Moore and his victim confirming the molestation, that Reid masturbated while compelling an underage boy to strip and dance for him, that Reid had been touching little boys, and that Reid had forcibly fondled an underage boy.
Yes, forcible fondling. I mean, you forced yourself on an underage boy, Larry. Allegedly. I have to say that because you weren't arrested, you weren't charged. He filed the police report as an adult. After getting therapy, counseling, and family support, he decided to file a police report. I saw the text messages between you and the victim. When he brought up the fact that you molested him, he tried to deflect and go around in a circle. And then that young man was living with you. You made him take his clothes off, stand in the middle of the floor, twirl around in a circle while you masturbate. And he said that you were doing the work of God because you were satisfying the needs of the prophet, meaning you. That's what you said to him. You had a long underage boy, stripped him out of his clothes, had him stand in the middle of the floor, and you whacking off as he's spinning around a circle. You had him doing that. You whacking off.
Part G. On March 26, 2021, Moore asserted or by unambiguous innuendo implied that, in videotaped comments presented on his own program, Reid had admitted to having sexually inappropriate relations, including with an underage boy.
Good morning, everybody. I didn't realize what I had in my possession until this morning about 3 o'clock. My sleep was troubled last night after I did the show. And I woke up, God woke me up, troubled my sleep. Daryl, go look at the Jimmy Battles videos that you did. Listen to play the one with the audio, go through the audio. Early in the day yesterday, I had played the one with Larry Reid and made fun of Shirley Caesar calling her church the gay whorehouse for all walks of the gays, etc. It was a little 9-second clip. But God troubled my spirit last night. He wouldn't let me rest. And I got there's an audio clip that I played where Larry Reid is talking to Jimmy Battles. And he basically called Jimmy Battles, the victim of a sexual assault, called him a bitch and stop acting like a little bitch. You need to make friends with your accuser, with the person you accusing. He said, well, that's what I did. That starts the healing process. I did that with all of my accusers. And it didn't dawn on me what I had. I've had that file for over a year, sitting on YouTube. But until yesterday when the victim of Larry Reid contacted me, I know he said he basically admitted to the accusations. He said, well, that's what I do with all of my accusers, meaning he had more than one accuser. One reached out to me, and he told me about another one. And I'm reaching out to him today when I get off work. So, oh yeah. So Larry Reid, that like Jimmy Battle said, that tongue is going to be the rope that he hangs himself with. And that's what he did. He basically confessed. And I had it on audio. With conversation with him and Jimmy Battle. The link will be in this.
Each of these allegations is false. Reid never molested an underage boy, nor compelled a boy to masturbate in his presence, nor masturbated in the presence of a boy.
Suppress the memories of such a victim. In Larry Reid's defense, it is important to note that he has denied molestation both publicly as well as via legal representation. As it relates to these public court documents, I will now present to you Daryl Moore's video from April 21st that showcased the reported text message between accuser number 1, aka Believe Black Men, and Larry Reid. During this live, the text messages were actually read and displayed twice. Daryl Moore first read these text messages at minute 10:13 through minute 16:30, and then accuser number 1 came on to provide a brief statement, and then subsequent his appearance, the text message would be reread again by Marcellus McMillan. And for those of you who do not know who Marcellus is, he is a close confidant of Daryl Moore. He is also a former preacher, and like Larry Reid, he has extensive experience in covering the black religious community. So without further delay, I present to you the text message visuals from that airing.
Now let me tell you something about Larry and people like him and people like Bernard Jordan and these types of people. They lead by intimidation. They lead by trying to intimidate other individuals to sort of keep their mouths shut. And they lead by trying to use all sort of, mental head games by trying to prevent these people from telling their stories. Let me be very, very clear, ladies and gentlemen. When we started down this road over a year ago, we knew where this was going to ultimately land us. We knew that. We just prepared ourselves and we continued to do the work that was necessary. I told you, Larry, that you should have just backed away and apologized for the stuff, because we knew this stuff a long time ago, sir. But we were trying to give you room enough to be respectful, but because of your narcissism and your inability to just apologize for the stuff that you had done, now you have gotten yourself in a whole heap of water. Let's go up. Is this the first text message?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, it says, "Hey, blank, I spoke to Mako. He said he saw you and he asked why I deleted you. And consequently, one other person from friends list. I explained I had laugh out loud. I'll hit you tomorrow. Nice chatting out to you in March." Now, see, here's what he's doing now. He knows he's in the hot water. That's why he went ahead and he unfriended him. Let me just tell you something else. He unfriended him because if you're going to serve someone or try and serve someone with a cease and desist letter, you can't be friends with them on social media and at the same time trying to serve them with a cease and desist letter. Okay, so he is trying to preemptively place himself in a place to where it looks as if he's had no communication with this individual. Okay, I need you guys to understand that. Then he says, "I'll hit you up tomorrow." Why are you talking to him, or why are you saying to him it was nice chatting with him in March? Okay, it says to chat and that we were supposed to chat when you, go ahead to the next one, when you were ready. I later had a vision the first week of May where I heard convo you were a part of concerning me and church. So he's trying to now take this into a spiritual level, saying that he saw a conversation in the spirit between him and this other individual. Larry, you didn't have to have a vision to have that conversation in the spirit, because you know exactly what you had done. So you don't need to have a conversation in the spirit when you know the stuff that you had done. Now, see, this is what church folks do. They over spiritualize basic natural things. And then you have to have people like myself that will bring some of you super saved saints back down to the ground so that you can deal with the reality of the stuff that you have done and that you have caused. Okay? So he says, I was a part of that convo, right? I would think that you would elect to have with me, especially because of our last communication here on Facebook. He says, I decided that same hour to unfriend you, or unfriendly, because it was clear that there was something that definitely needed to be discussed. Of course there was something that needed to be discussed, Larry. You knew exactly what needed to be discussed. And if you knew something needed to be discussed, why would you then turn around and unfriend the individual when you knew that there was something that needed to be discussed? If there was something that needed to be discussed, why would you discuss it? Social media is definitely a place that you guys have been communicating with back and forth before then. So why wouldn't you just continue that discussion? Okay, let's continue. He says, but for some reason you didn't want to talk directly to me. Of course not. Why would somebody who has been the victim of somebody's foolishness want to talk directly to you? First of all, I'm going to want to whoop your ass. I'm not going to want to have no conversation with you. I'm going to want to fuck you all the way up. And excuse my French. I'm just saying. So of course I'm not going to want to have no conversation. And then he says, when Mako told me you asked, I felt I owed you an explanation. An explanation of what? An explanation of what? Although I had rather you just inbox, and he says needed to be discussed as I felt in March. Although I'd rather you just inbox me and ask me, but under the circumstances, I see why you.
And then that's when it cut off.
Okay. And my thing is, under what circumstances? Why in the world? What circumstances is he under? Or what circumstances are there that would create an atmosphere by which there would no longer be a need to communicate with you? So let's just be here, ladies and gentlemen. This requires critical thinking, and it also requires discussion. And it also requires somebody who doesn't get into the trap of the mysticalness of Larry Reid's jargon. Because Larry tries to over spiritualize this, and he tries to use sorcery and witchcraft to keep people from clearly being able to see things. Because Larry has a spirit of control and sorcery on him, along with his mentor. Yeah, I said it. So let's continue. He says here, hey Reid, so it's clear that the convo I had with PB was
PB is Pastor Bryant Shamako.
Okay, PB was misrepresented, so let me clarify. And he ain't no damn pastor.
I know, but that's what they called him when he was
right. I got it. I know, because he's still. But look at this, through the midst of this, he's still trying to have respect for these people. You feel me? So that just goes to tell you about the strength of his character. So I'm not even. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So he says, I didn't ask him why you deleted me. I told him I noticed you deleted me. So he's then correcting the lie that Shamako told or said, was that I didn't ask him why you deleted me. I just told him I noticed that you deleted me. Okay. So he says, when I went to the message you a few weeks ago, you don't owe me an explanation. You don't owe me. Where am I at? An explanation for anything you decided to do with your life. Now here's the thing, stop right there, because I needed to give y'all some understanding here. What's being said here is what, and I'm sure that now the victim hasn't said this to me, but because I've had to deal with this situation in times past, so I understand what's being done here. So let me give y'all a breakdown of what's being done here. when he says you don't owe me an explanation for anything you decided to do with your life, what Larry has done and what Larry will probably not admit to, and this is my speculation here, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to tell you this is my speculation, but this is my speculation based on my history of dealing with stuff like this in the past, okay? Let me tell you very clearly what this is. This is now Larry Reid trying to tell him, or this young person, that he moved on with his life, and because his life is so what he thinks is better and grandiose at this point in time in his life, that he thinks that this individual is coming to him at this particular time. But Larry has known about this situation for several years. Not just this just didn't happen overnight. So all of you LRLers that's been supporting him when Larry was over there talking about fatherless children and daddies who don't do their kids right and telling everybody else's business, Larry knew he had this entire situation going on behind the scenes.
Yes, he did.
Had this whole situation going. Go ahead, Daryl.
And let me make sure you all realize this. Larry has known about the police report since 2018. He's been sitting around for the last 3 years acting like nothing happened. He knows that they contacted him, but he played like nothing goes on, like this is a big shock to him. Larry has known about that police report since it took place in August of 2018. He's known about it because the detective called him. Okay, go ahead, Marcel.
He says, it's not that I was uncomfortable asking you why. I just wasn't interested. If deleting me and this person, one of the things it takes to make your life more enjoyable, then I encourage it. Now listen what he said. He said, look, if that makes your life more enjoyable or that makes your life better, you do that. Do you? And he said, honestly, if a vision was enough, which I don't believe, and let me just say to the individual, I don't believe it either. I don't believe none of the damn visions that Larry Reid has. And see, here's another thing I want to say to all of you supporters who get mad at us for telling the truth. What you all are doing is also showing who your heart and your trust and faith and hope is really truly in, because it cannot be in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It cannot be there. Your true faith, hope, and love and justice is found in the idol that you created in your mind that brings you all the juicy information that you just feel like you just gotta you need. Because it's one thing to commentate on stories. It's another one to dig in digital trash cans and try and out people and bring people's information out. That's the difference. And I just wanted to say that publicly for those of you that are following us and that are in this chat who are real commentators. It's different from being a commentator versus somebody who's out there trying to ruin these other folks' lives. That's the difference. Because we don't talk about things unless those things become public. But because Larry decided that he wanted to put our names out there and he wanted to call us liars and he wanted to do the things that he did, we just decided to let everything unfold, and we decided to bring everything to the light because we knew what kind of person Larry was a long time ago. And we told you we couldn't say everything and we couldn't tell you everything. We told you that a long time ago. Y'all need to understand, I do not put any information out in the public like this unless there is something to corroborate it. I told Daryl the same thing. Daryl, we don't just put information out, and we don't talk about information unless you can back up the things that you say. Now, we don't get on here saying we're the most integral vloggers and we and all of this and we got the best platform. But one thing we will tell you is that we ain't coming out here and we ain't telling you no damn lies.
Not a one. Not a one. And I feel vindicated.
And you should. And he said, if a vision was enough, which I don't believe, for you to make a in the moment decision to delete me from your social media without pursuing a conversation of almost 10 years of relationship history, we were never as close as I wanted to believe all these years anyway, bruh. You don't owe me anything.
Let me skip down. You don't owe me. There we go. You don't owe me anything.
Even your explanation for why you deleted us agrees with my logic. You were able to rationalize that conversation needed to happen, and in response to that realization, you decided deleting us was best. That's not the way you respond in a relationship that has value to you. At least that's what you told me. Now, let me tell you what Larry has done. Larry has been keeping this victim in a vortex of believing that he was in a remorseful place or a sorrowful place because of the things that he has done. And this is typically what victimizers do to their victim. They try and keep their victim on the hook emotionally to them so that they feel like there's some sort of connection to them, and they never own up to the responsibility of the actions that they took. I'm gonna repeat what I just said for the slow motherfuckers in the back.
Take your time.
I'm gonna say it again for you. What most happens with people who perpetrate things against their victims, they will typically try to keep their victims on the hook emotionally so that the person will not make a clear, conscious decision to move forward with some type of recourse around the actions that have been taking place against them. And so they keep them on the hook emotionally, and Larry tries to do it also spiritually as well. And so now this young man has had to make a conscious decision to say enough is enough. And if this is what you consider to be a good relationship, or a relationship that warrants you unfriending me and not even doing the decent thing and having a conversation with me, then you go about your business and you do you. He said, I was never aware of the circumstance being created. We don't talk. Did you see what he said? We don't have no conversation. We don't have no conversation.
Not a one. Let me scroll on down. It gets a little better. Let's see. We don't talk. Let's see. There, we don't talk. Oh, here we go. At least that's what we don't talk. Okay, here we go. Go ahead. We don't talk.
My initial intent was for wanting to inbox you was to let you know I forgive you. How about this, ladies and gentlemen? He forgave him. Yep. The last 18 months have taught me a lot about my relationship with myself. So he's forgiven the fool. He's forgiven the dummy for what he did. But the dummy can't really, he knows what he did, and he knows trying to be preemptive to the stuff that he's done.
Let us continue.
The last 18 months have taught me a lot about my relationship with myself and every other relationship in my life. Let me just stop here. I want to take a moment here because this is really serious, because I have dealt with a lot of people who have faced this type of trauma. And let me just say this. And he said something in earlier, and I hope people really paid attention to what he said. Being a man, and especially a black man, and having to come out and deal with this type of situation opens up a lot of things for him. And I want to first of all commend him for the strength of character, for being just a decent human being to come out and deal with the things that he's had to deal with. And I mean, when I tell you, I will have 1,000 black men standing behind him if that's what it takes. And I mean that.
I do too.
I'm not playing no games with that. I will have 1,000 black men standing in front of that courtroom to support you if that's what it takes, because I'm not playing no games.
Yes, sir. They're gonna be there.
The hard reality of this, ladies and gentlemen, is that this is this young man's situation, and he's got to live with this, and he's got to deal with this with his spouse, and he's got to deal with this with his family, and he has to come to grips with the nature of the untrustfulness that this will cause, even as it relates to spiritual people, because he told you that's why he don't fuck with y'all. And one of the reasons why people don't fuck with y'all, because even in the face of the truth, you all will sit up there and play all of these games and pretend like you can't see obvious shit.
This man was hurting. He was a boy for 3 years.
And I think about the weeks and the months that we've had to endure all the bullshit in these chats from all of you running around here carrying Bibles and carrying crosses, but you won't take your ass over there and ask that fool why the hell he's been doing, and he won't speak up and he won't say nothing, and why he's serving somebody with a cease and desist letter. Because if you don't believe that you did anything, why the fuck would you have to serve anybody with a cease and desist letter?
Exactly. What you hide? What you don't want out?
So once again, Larry Reid, fuck you. and fuck all of your followers. To all of them women that's over there paying for your dysfunction, fuck all of you.
Twice on Sunday.
He said, and one of them, in the fact, if for the past 7 years I've assisted in helping you believe that you did not molest me as a teenager. What did he put out there? He didn't mince no motherfucking words. He put the word in there, molest me as a teenager. He said, you've already internalized this on some level. Hell yeah, he had to, because he knows what the fuck he did.
There we go.
So don't come over here to this channel fucking with me and fucking with my friends and fucking with Daryl. Don't come over here with that bullshit, because I told y'all I don't come out here in social media and I don't come out here telling no damn lies like that. I don't do that. And I'm not out here trying to go after Larry Reid and take away his livelihood. I'm out here to tell you guys the damn truth.
Look at these last two sentences on this text that he said to Larry. Let them get that in your voice, Marcelo.
He said, but never enough to apologize. So I did the work for you.
I don't need it.
He said, I don't need it though. But I want you to understand what kind of individual you dealing with. He said, I did the work for you, even though you wouldn't fucking apologize. Now listen at all of you folks over here that's running around here talking about, well, I don't know if Larry, well, what about, well, Larry, well, let me tell you something. Larry running around here telling all of these preachers that they needed to get in front of the story, and anytime something needed to happen, that they needed to get in front of the story and they should just come out and apologize. Where was Larry's fucking apology to his victim? Because even in the text message, the victim said, you wouldn't even fucking apologize to me for the shit you did.
And he didn't get in front of this story. He just tried to bully the young man today, and the young man stood up to him and got his own lawyer.
Oh, I'm fully in control. I ain't out of control. I'm fully in control.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We're fine.
I'm more in control of this train than you have any idea.
We good. We good over here.
So so all of you folks that's been doubting Daryl and calling him crazy and allowing that old fool over there with the jolly green giant hornet and living in that crack house that Larry was using to do his dirty work. All of y'all and all your little foolishness and the little salamander that keeps poking her head out of the little cubby hole. All of you. Pay close attention, and I want y'all to draw a little closer, because what Daryl just showed you is a fucking checkmate move. You've been checkmated.
And court is on the back burner.
It's on the horizon.
Yes, sir. 2 courts, criminal and civil.
And now listen at this foolishness that Larry comes out with. This is his response after all of that. Listen how he responds it. I admit that after the vision, I should have reached out because you didn't reach out after our last communication. I figured something was up, but I waited. Let me tell you what.
Hold on. Let me read the date and time of that text message. July 15th, 2017 at 8:13 a.m.
So I want y'all to understand something. At the moment he was doing all these Larry Reid live shows, and this is even before this is even before Larry had lied on me and put out all that other mess on me, talking about I was trying to make a name for myself on him and all this crap.
Right.
Because I stopped dealing with Larry in 2018. I hadn't talked to Larry in over a year. And he brought my name back up. I believe it was in 2019.
Yes, it was.
Going back and forth 5 times on his program, talking about me, and I wasn't even watching his programs no more.
Right.
So all of you, this is the day that I just want to tell y'all, for those of you that didn't want to believe Daryl and kept talking shit every 5 minutes, I take great pleasure in telling you to kiss my ass. And don't bring your dumb asses back over here asking us them stupid ass questions no damn more when you already know what's been going on. Because we done made it plain for you stupid assholes. We done made it plain for you.
Yup.
It don't get no more plainer than this.
And this is Larry Reid talking. This ain't us. This us reading what Larry Reid said.
after our communication, I figured something was up. You damn well know what was up. But see, this is him using that George Bloomer type language, because see, he knows what he's doing. He know what he's doing, Daryl. He's using that George Bloomer because he's trying not to incriminate himself when he fully know what the hell he done. But see, the one thing about these courts and how this situation works, you gonna have to stand before the situation, you little monkey, because instead of you just dealing with the situation and leaving the situation alone and apologizing, your dumb ass done made the young man even madder.
And he got a lawyer today. Had you just let him tell his story, it'd have been your word against his. Now you got to go to court. And guess who his witness gonna be? One of his witnesses, the cigar vlogger, the elderly.
And I just want to let you know, me and my staff will be right there.
Oh, look out, God. Look at God.
Gonna be right there.
Oh.
You jive turkey.
Oh.
The dream was confirmation of that energy. What does he mean by energy?
What?
See, this is that mystical bullshit again with him. All this energy. He got all this energy, but he can't find the energy to apologize. Ain't that some shit?
He got energy to say stuff like this or falsely flag Kim's videos, but he don't have energy to come out and address the allegations made against him.
He said, that's why I just elected to just delete and move on, because I felt you weren't interested in the convo at that point. What convo does somebody want to have with a motherfucker who won't even apologize for the bullshit that they've done and the pain and the anguish and the agony that they've caused?
Now, mind you, Marcellus, he got alleged, we got to say alleged until you go to court, from 14 to 17. And then this young man, 2 years later, got married when he was 19.
And can you imagine having to come to grips with that and deal with all of that in the middle of all of that situation?
And his wife didn't find out until after they got married.
Of course, because that young man isn't going to want to come out and admit to the stuff that happened to him. He's not going to want to admit to that. And he talked a lot about that. And maybe at another point, Daryl, we need to really talk about that and the effects of, you know, this type of stuff when it comes to the black community, because coming forward with this kind of situation puts him in a different light, period. And, you know, especially when it comes to people in the church, because people in the church can be so, you know, judgmental. They can be so dismissive, you know, because the moment. Yeah, go ahead.
Like you said, if it was and he said it too, say if it was a woman or a girl, everybody rallies around. Well, except Larry, because the woman came out, he called her a witch and a Jezebel and a whore. But most of the time when a lady comes out that she's been harmed, people rally to their support and their aid. But when it's a young man, it's like you're on an island all to yourself.
Right. And I just have to tell you, for those of you that are upset with my choice of language tonight, be more upset at what happened to the young man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Forget my language. Be upset at what happened, and also be upset at the fact that your beloved vlogger has refused to tell you the truth. Be upset with that.
Hey, be upset that you paid $144 a year for him to lie to you, and you're supporting his dysfunction with your donations. How about that?
And if you're gonna still do it, you know what Bishop Earl Carter said: you crazy, you dumb, and you stupid. And I believe that Bishop Carter was right. You crazy, you dumb, and you stupid. And I don't give a shit whether you give him $144. I never have. I don't give shit whether you give him money, but I do want to let you know you're crazy, you're dumb, and you're stupid. And I know one thing, I'm not funding nobody's dysfunction, and I damn sure ain't gonna fund nobody's ability to lie and not tell the truth.
Not me. No. This boy here, Larry.
He says that was my presumption. That isn't your fault. It was just that I elected to do, and that wasn't the best thing to do, because it told you and her something about how I felt concerning both of you that wasn't true. Oh, if I misrepresented what Mako said, then put that on me and not on him. So let me tell you what Larry's doing. Larry's playing mind games here. And see, you gotta know what you're dealing with when you deal with somebody like Larry Reid. And see, one of the reasons why Larry cannot deal with real men and people who speak truth to power and really tell the truth is because we can see through his bullshit
all day.
And see, you can't over spiritualize stuff for me, sir, because I done been all up and through the church. I was the guy, the young man, the little boy who arrived at church before everybody else and had to turn the heat on before the rest of you bastards even got there. I was already in the sanctuary. So I done made it from scraping gum off of the floor and off of the back of the pews to downstairs in the dining hall, getting the gum up off the floor all the way to the pulpit. So I went from the bottom all the way up. That's why you're not going to intimidate me, and you ain't going to make me feel bad about telling nothing about you and nothing about preachers like you. You're not going to make me feel bad about none of that. And for those of you that just have a problem with my language, oh well.
Because you know I cuss and drink and smoke. So if you got a problem with Marcellus, you sure got a problem with me.
And now, yes, he's going to have to put out money for a lawsuit, and we'll be telling you guys moving forward about how things are going to go with that and what we're going to do. If we need any assistance with that, we'll let y'all know, because we're not willing to just leave this young man out to dry. That's what we're not going to do.
Not at all. I got his back.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. I'm sick of this foolishness. And he says, as far as me and you and our relationship, we have talked and re-talked, but we clearly should have talked more the last few months for...
Let me slide down. Concerned about how I felt concerned about you wasn't... Oh, okay.
There it is. You went... Go. He says, see, clearly now that he says, the last few months for me, you wouldn't believe the things I see so clearly now, and the many, many mistakes. The many, many mistakes. What mistakes are those?
What are those? Ooh, what mistakes are we talking about?
He won't. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. When you're dealing with a narcissist, especially somebody like Larry's never going to admit to the mistakes. He can't even admit to the fact that he lied on me. He couldn't even admit to the fact that with Daryl that he had taken a bribe.
And I got the paperwork on this table.
He couldn't admit it.
With his signature on it. And he still denied it.
Because he's a liar. That's what he does. He lies. And he says, oh, I see clearly now, and the many mistakes. I've apologized till I'm blue in the face, publicly and individually, when the universe afforded me the opportunity to talk to people personally, and vice versa. What did you apologize for, Larry? And I just want to tell you, Larry, I've talked to some preachers in North Carolina, and you've also told some other lies.
A whole bunch of them.
Just so you know. This whole, see, one thing about social media, and I will tell y'all, social media allows people to create a persona for themselves that really doesn't exist. You done lied and told your followers about you preaching in your denomination and some of the stuff that you said on your platform. You done flat out lied, and other preachers have corroborated the fact that you done lied.
That you ain't never preached at no conventions, nowhere, no whatever them conferences is, none of it. You've never been in the pulpit for none of them. The only thing you ever did was sing. And not that good at that.
Yeah, sir. I told you, just be quiet, but you didn't want to do it. Keep going. Keep going. Hopefully one day you will want to talk. The young man told you he didn't want to talk to you no more. Why would he? Just like you trying to get Jimmy Battles to talk with George Bloomer. That's so y'all can put them spells on these folks, and y'all can over spiritualize it so that they feel indebted to you to keep their mouths closed, like some kind of way you're sort of you're some sort of euphoric spiritual person that they shouldn't speak out against you and all of the horrible things that you've done. So you just keep them quiet and you push them into the background, into oblivion, so that they have to deal with and suffer in silence and deal with the hurt and the pain and the trauma of the things that you've done. You just push them in the back. I told you, Larry, I didn't get started with this stuff yesterday. I've been doing this for quite some time, sir.
And the only reason he came back because we asked him to. He was perfectly fine being in the background, but we kept asking him until he decided to come back out here.
You guys have to stop. Preachers like this have to stop. And I told you, Larry, this is what I do. I go after preachers who do the crap that you do. And you are a classic case of a narcissistic, spellbound, in my humble opinion, perpetrator.
Lord have mercy. And then you tried to put a nice little bow on it and say, well, here's my private cell phone number. And that was how you ended that conversation, that conversation.